Hello, New York, and thanks for tuning in to the all-new Record Guide. Get ready for a special edition of the all-new Record Guide. We're on location, Vet Stadium, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, for the kickoff of the historic David Bowie Glass Spider Tour of North America.
I guess my whole career kicked off in Philadelphia back at the Tower Theatre in the early 70s. If I wanted to make money, I'd go out and do a hit singles tour, but I'm not prepared to do that. The only reason I ever tour is because I want to break new ground. You can't really say, I love those 15,000 people. I don't believe that. I can only do what I want to do because it pleases me. If I still got an audience at the end of it, I'm very happy. And if I don't, I just don't. That's all. Hello, Record Guy. How are you? Thanks for coming. Thanks.
And now, a media event. Let's join David Bowie on location in the Record Guide Spotlight. David, how'd you get Peter Frampton on the tour?
Frampton, how did I get him onto the tour? That was inevitable after the recording sessions that we did. It panned out so well that it seemed like the perfect idea to carry on our working relationship together, and so I asked him if he'd do the tour. I'm certainly quite happy to do that.
You doing a film with Mick Jagger?
Film with Jagger. Yeah, I'm doing, we just read the first draft today, well, yesterday as a matter of fact, and it's pretty good. We've got to be tidying it up over the next few months, and we should go into production next autumn.
What's it about?
I'm not telling you.
Well, why Philly to start the tour?
Philly to start the tour? Well, I think it's maybe self-evident that, in fact, I got my biggest start, and I guess my whole career kicked off in Philadelphia back at the Tower Theatre in the early 70s, and it's been a recurring liaison that we've had. I come back here, I've done live recordings here, I've recorded at Sigma Sound here. I think it's almost inevitable that I would start this, but as this is an experiment for me in itself. I've never done a stadium tour before. I thought, well, let's play safe and start with people who know my work, and I guess we kind of like each other and start off in Philadelphia.
Well, tell us about the Glass Spider stage. The
Spider stage thing and all that. It's a very involved set, as the performance itself is. It has elements of mixed media, I guess. There's elements of film footage, choreography, minimalism, symbolism. Oh, and there's some rock and roll. It's kind of like a multimedia event, and the set itself is fairly spectacular. No, it's very spectacular.
This tour is very theatrical.
Yeah, I guess I'd finish with, well, theatrical in terms of a huge set and stuff like that, yeah. I hadn't done that really since Diamond Dogs in 74. That was the last time, 74, 75. And I stripped the sets down after that in the late 70s. It was far more kind of expressionist kind of theatre. It was just black and white, just white lights. But I naturally gravitate back to that, which I haven't done for some time. And this, I had such a success with the 83 tour and expanding my audience that it seemed almost natural to maybe show people what I used to do a long time ago, and the kind of thing that really started me off. And so I was very tempted to go back into a very theatrical kind of production.
Did you ever hear about a dance?
It's time for the Record Guide giveaway. The Record Guide has 50 David Bowie albums, Never Let Me Down, to give away. To get your free album, send your cards or letters to the Record Guide giveaway, David Bowie. P.O. Box 4, 007, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, 08034. Be sure to include the call letters of the station you're watching, and remember, one album per household. It's time for Record Guide Track Facts. What was David Bowie's real name, and why did he have to change it just as his career was taking off? Stay tuned. Here's a Record Guide Track Fact. David Bowie's real name is David Jones. He changed it to avoid confusion with Davy Jones of the Monkees. More now from David Bowie, on location in the Record Guide Spotlight. David, are you planning to play any small clubs before you kick off the tour?
You know, am I playing a small club before we come to Philly? There's no real reason other than just, firstly, I couldn't take this set inside a small club. I could maybe put a small club in my set. As in terms of rehearsal ability, we don't really need to, because we've just done 30 cities in Europe, so we have a pretty fair idea of what we're doing. We had a whole week and a half in Holland and in England to kind of sort all the problems out, and so we're pretty happy with what we got.
Are you planning to make any cameo club appearances?
Kind of things happen, cameo appearances in clubs, they kind of come up on the spot, you know. You're like, one night you might want to go and jam somewhere. That's how it usually works out, but nothing's pre-planned for that.
Well, what are the differences between European and American audiences?
The differences in European and American audiences, do you know, would only talk about that on previous tours. I mean, I have absolutely no idea how an American audience would take to this show. They're going to love it? Oh, yeah, well, please come, will you? I love it. I don't know. That's what makes it worth touring, you know? I mean, who knows? I mean, it's easy to do a kind of a pat thing and say, oh, yeah, they'll love this. Well, I don't want to do that. I'm too old to do that stuff.
Well, what about using large video screens?
I think now it's almost become traditional to utilize video screens in stadiums. I think it's not only a very sensible idea, but I think people can make a lot of it. And what I tried to do when I was rehearsing this particular tour is to make what happens on the screen as valid a show in its own way as what's happening. I mean, if stadium shows are going to become a part of rock and roll life, which they obviously have been and obviously will be, then one should try and make every part of it work on a stadium level. And so what we have on screen, I hope, is as presentable a show as what you're getting on the stage. So if you're kind of television culture people, and I've grown up that way, and I know my son did, then it all makes sense to have video screens and live action happening at the same time.
It's time for another Record Guide Track Fact. David Bowie's art teacher was the father of what well-known guitar star? Hang in there. Here's a Record Guide Track Fact. Well, it's a small world. David Bowie's art teacher was the father of guitar star Peter Frampton. Let's rejoin David Bowie on location in a very special Record Guide Spotlight. David, how do you account for your ongoing popularity?
Hopefully the reason that my audience changes and expands or sometimes goes down and comes back up again is that I've never tried to please an audience. I really, looking at, I mean, you can't really say, I love those 15,000 people. I don't believe that. I can only do what I want to do because it pleases me. If I still got an audience at the end of it, I'm very happy. And if I don't, I just don't. That's all.
A little bit about the theatricality of this.
Yeah.
You've always been into theater.
Yeah.
This, of course, is a good opportunity to do some theater grand style. Can you tell us a little about this?
Right, a lot of the input came from, I wanted to keep it rock and roll, but I wanted to stretch it a bit more than what I've seen in stadiums. And my influences over the last few years in terms of theatre, I've been absolutely stunned by the feeling of modern dance, but dance when it's almost approaching modern theatre. And the two representatives that I can use more than anybody else, I think, are Pina Bausch from Germany, who's absolutely stunning. One of the most amazing dance theatre situations I've ever seen. And also you in North America, one of the finest troops I've ever seen, called Human Footsteps La La La, who come from Montreal, who are absolutely wonderful. Those two influenced a lot of my feeling about how I wanted my show to look. I wanted to keep away from jazz dance. I wanted to keep away from regular disco, flash dance, video kind of dance. I wanted something that really represented what's happening on the cutting edge of modern dance. And for that, I auditioned and brought together a dance troupe called Through the Flames. And they're basically untrained, but they come from the streets and they're very street oriented. And I got them involved in the idea of modern European theatre, and it's worked out pretty good.
Great.
It's kind of exciting, I don't know.
Well, what do you do for your hobbies when you're on the road to try and keep yourself sane, away from the stage area? So many hotel rooms, so much traveling. How do you keep yourself from going crazy?
It's like taking coast to Newcastle. I don't know if you know that expression. For me, it's traveling. I like traveling. I mean, if I'm not on tour, then I enjoy the idea of going to far off places, and I do tend to get out and about as much as I can when I'm not on tour.
Is there any one special place you'd like to get away to? Some place to get away from it all? A desert island?
I don't really think about those kinds of places too much. For me, an exciting kind of place to go to is to see what's happening in, say, a place like Java or Burma, or some countries that you don't automatically think of going to, rather than Thailand or Bali, you know.
And now, let's take a look at Record Guide's Road Report. Some upcoming dates on David Bowie's incredible Glass Spider Tour. Let's return to David Bowie on location in the Record Guide Spotlight. David, there's two rumors we keep hearing. One, this is your last tour, and two, you're getting married.
Two recurring rumors. Recurring rumors is my middle name. The first rumor being that this is my last tour. I would imagine I wouldn't be staging anything quite as elaborate as this ever again. It's the most extraordinarily expensive tour that I've ever done. The logistics of it are horrendous, and it's something like a 3-4 day setup for each gig. It's very, very hard on my production crew. It's hard on everybody all around, even though it's been a lot of fun, and it'll be a lot of fun bringing it to America. But the pure headaches of putting it together, I couldn't envisage me doing this again for a long, long time. As for being my last tour, no. The other thing, am I getting married at the end of the tour? Who am I getting married to?
Your manager?
My manager? Well, that would be peculiar because I don't have a manager. On the other hand, no, I'm not getting married to anybody at the end of this tour.
It's time for more Record Guide track facts. Which of the following careers has David Bowie not entered professionally? A, commercial artist. B, mime. C, clothing designer. D, backing musician. Stay tuned, the answer is coming up soon. The Record Guide track fact. The answer is C. David Bowie has never become a professional clothing designer. Thanks for watching the all-new Record Guide, and a special thanks to David Bowie. Tune in next time for more of the nation's hottest hits. Till then, as this edition spins to a close, here's some more great music.